What's going on here? No.
Hello there, Celerium once again, introducing you to my Black Ops 2 Veteran Difficulty video walkthrough. This is the second mission entitled Celerium, and this is me picking some equipment to take on with it. So the first thing I'll say here, guys, is don't pick the SMR. I chose it purely because I wanted to use it. I've, not really dabbled too much with the weapon, and it's only got 20 bullets in its clip without extended mag, and that is not enough to do what is necessary in this level. So I find myself reloading a lot. But the one thing you will notice is I'm using the millimeter sight, which is the one that effectively lets you look through walls to see where enemies are. That is probably the most overpowered piece of equipment on the game, except for the sniper rifle that we get later on, which lets you shoot through pretty much, Darth Vader. It's unbelievably strong, the gun. But you don't get them for quite some time. And this section here is pretty reminiscent of Ghost Protocol, if you saw Tom Cruise going up the side of the skyscraper in Dubai. I left it in because I wanted people to see it, because I thought it was cool and it enables me to talk about something. And that is, Call of Duty's at this point seems to only want to hold your hand in almost every situation, because it's always heavily scripted. It's always, point A to point B. But can you imagine if you could actually do this in the level? When it breaks out into the open spaces, if you could climb up things with these gloves, or if you could even, run and swing around the corner of a mountain to get the flank on an enemy. It makes me wonder why they don't make the levels more dynamic from that perspective, because it would be so cool. But the swift transition there has got rid of all the exposition, and you'll notice we're now using the Squirrel suits, which is a cool moment, and I do like it. I couldn't get any funny things happening on the recording run like I did on my first time through, because one of the AI guys in front of me actually hit a mountain, and he didn't die, we didn't fail, he just started spinning, and the game kind of glitched out for a while. And it was quite funny, but I didn't get anything on this run. And once again, I could have probably trimmed this out because it's not difficult, you're not going to struggle with this, but I wanted to show it because I thought it was a pretty fun section when I did it. I just wish there was more points where this happened. But then again, this game is not that long, so if they did it too much, it might, start to show fatigue. But when you land, there's going to be another little bit of exposition, hence the crossfade, and now it's Combat 101. And the most challenging section, or most challenging thing about this section is all the people you're going to be shooting are invisible. For the most, they've all got optic camouflage. You can throw EMP grenades at them to set it off, but if you throw it too close, it will set you off as well. And the fact that the weather conditions are definitely against you can make it difficult to spot your enemy. But this gun, you'll notice how it sends out that EMP field. If there is an enemy, you will see them glow for a second, and generally, if you can see them, you can shoot through the cover that they're stood behind. One thing I would advise for people that are going to be playing this on Veteran with all the perks, all the weapons, all that kind of stuff, to make it a little less frustrating if they're, intimidated by it, put this sight on any gun you like, an FMJ. Because I could not use FMJ for the majority of this walkthrough because I believe it's a perk and I don't know how you unlock it in the campaign. But if that allows you to shoot through anything more with this gun, people are just going to die because you shoot through a lot of things on this game. I didn't realise how much Treyarch would change. Because one of the things I really disliked about Black Ops was, even if you had hardened on, you really could not wallbang people, you really couldn't shoot through all that much stuff. But this game is really different. It enables you to have that functionality, and it reminds me of Call of Duty 4, because I kind of feel like 4 was the only one where it really mattered, the only one where shooting through walls had a massive emphasis, because you couldn't hide at times, and you could really get the jump on people. And this game finally makes me realise that, shooting through walls is a good feature, and is a functional feature, which is good news. But you'll notice it's extremely generous with the checkpoints, keeps throwing them out for us, so you should never really have too much of an issue. But as I mentioned, if you do have all the weapons, FMJ, millimeter sight on the gun you like, and the sniper rifle that they showed in the E3 trailer, the one that's like a railgun, that is the most overpowered gun in the campaign. You can literally clear a level with that gun alone, and it's powerful. It shoots through walls. It's got a scope. It's ridiculously good. A couple of things that might make this level a little bit more bearable If you up your brightness, it might definitely help you. I generally tend to play with the game brighter than it intends you to play. Just because when I did it for Dark Souls it made such a difference, and when I went back I couldn't see the first room of Sen's Fortress, and it's a big difference, so brightness can help. Obviously millimeter, you can throw out your grenades if you're going to be using them a lot. I really didn't experiment too much with the grenades, I just kind of went with what the game gives you. And just another couple of difficulty things to note. There doesn't seem to be regenerating enemies on this. They do not seem to be endlessly respawning, should I say. Regenerating is wrong. Yeah, there's no infinite enemy at any one moment. There are times when it feels like it, when there's a lot of dudes. Oh, and once again, if you see the grenade indicator, you have to move on this game. It's not like on the previous ones where you just threw it back. The AI doesn't seem to be as good at throwing grenades, but what it does seem to do is make sure that the grenade rolls towards you when its fuse is practically gone and blow you up. So be very careful. Grenades have killed me on this game more times than people shooting me, and this is the first Call of Duty that's ever worked. And somebody made out a nice little play on words with the word duty, because every time, you know, some people say Call of Duty, it can be difficult in mid-sentence to really emphasise the duty part of it, because it just kind of rolls off the tongue as duty. And it does sound rather childish and a lot like duty, so somebody spotted that in the comments and it did make me laugh quite a lot. But look at this scope, guys, look at how powerful this is. The grenades on this game, even though you have a wrist-mounted launcher, do not go very far. I was expecting like fucking tennis throws, like full-on service, but they're just like standard grenades, not really different, and if anything, they're a bit of a pain in the ass because it's longer to fire them. But you do have a little holographic thing that shows you where it's going to go, and that's definitely new to Call of Duty, so that's kind of cool. But just take your time, you know, push up to the checkpoints, and just use your environment to your advantage, because no respawning enemy means that this game is easier by default anyway, and the game has already been set to a difficulty that is much lower than previous games in the series. So I'm hoping a lot more people enjoy the campaign as opposed to, you know, the just bleaching of forums with, you know, this is bullshit, this is too hard, this is, you know, no fighting in the war room, this is the corridor of death, all the places that people enjoy, you know, the entire game of World at War, because everybody seems to think that one is like the hardest thing since Chuck Norris's beard, and I really don't agree with that at all. I managed to beat World at War pretty much the same amount of time it took me to beat this game, and this game is considerably easier, so that just goes to show that it's not as hard as people make it out to be. There are a couple of sections that, if it wasn't for the fact I'm rather gifted at bullshitting the computer, that would have been absolute nightmares, but I managed to get through them quite comfortably. There were a couple of checkpoints that were really rough, considered, you know, the games that followed it were significantly easier, but people make out that game is, you know, the hardest thing ever, and these are the same people that say Dark Souls is the hardest thing ever, which is clearly not true. The difficulty is subjective, and there are a lot of people that'll die once on a game and then they'll stop playing it because, you know, it's too hard, and I do believe if you have that kind of mentality that you'll never actually get better at playing games, and it's probably not the best mentality to have in life either, because if you're going to quit that quickly, you know, you're not going to do too well. But now that we've cleared here, you can look around if you want to find some intel, or you can just go straight for the door and carry on to the next segment. There's some nice environments in this game. I don't think that to the visual quality of what Halo 4 had, because Halo 4 is one of the nicest looking games this generation. This does definitely have nice touches to it. The Infinity engine is in a new iteration, and I do like what they've managed to do. And the one thing you've got to bear in mind, guys, when people judge these games on the visual fidelity, these games run at 60 frames per second. Battlefield does not run at 60 frames per second. A lot of other good titles do not run at 60 frames per second because it's too strenuous on the hardware. So these graphics are fantastic considering how smooth this game runs. And I know this is only really going to be orientated to PC gamers, to console gamers, sorry, because PC guys have had, you know, 9 million frames since, you know, Jesus was crucified, but it makes a difference, guys, and it's one of the things I do love about this game. and this series. But thanks for watching, and you take care now.